Hello, everyone. This is Kelly Beard of KarmicTools.com, and tonight is our monthly community event, and our subject is the ARIES-LIBRA Nodes and Eclipses that are going to be with us through 23, 4, and a little bit of 2025. So, deep breath. We are activating a new 10 and 20-year cycle, and that's bigger than the usual annual Aries new moon reset that we get. And eclipses are special and all that good stuff. So before we dive in, let's unify the circle and do some grounding breath work. We're doing my old school chakra breath work. So if you've gotten your lunar tools, you've seen this. And I really want us to be able to, just open up to receive the messages that are just for you, the individual, this night. Because when we're in Aries, it's all about you. So this chakra meditation, we're going to take a deep breath in, make that connection above, below, and at the heart, and let it go out as we spiral through the 7 primary chakras. This particular lunation is an initiation, which is a time when we can see the new identity, authentic self. We're going on a soul level. We are thinking about how to embody and express who we are at a higher, deeper level, and how we go about getting what we want in life. All of that is getting an upgrade. So we want to use the oxygen that you take in to carry new clarity, courage, and independence into every cell of your DNA, and use the carbon dioxide that you breathe out to carry destructive habits and self-sabotage out of every cell of your DNA. Deep breath. Take another deep breath, making that connection above, below, and at the heart. Deep breath in. And hold and release. Starting at the root chakra, I want you to breathe in your instinctual connection to earth and breathe out any disconnect from the home base. So let's take a deep breath in, breathing in your instinctual connection to earth. Deep breath in. And release any disconnect from the home base. Come on up to your second chakra. This one's associated with your emotions and sexuality and creativity. Here we're going to breathe in a deep passion for life and breathe out any paralytic fear or dread. So connect to your creative center. Take a deep cleansing breath in, breathing in a deep passion for your own life. Deep breath in. And release any paralytic fear or dread. Out of that sacral chakra. Come on up to your solar plexus, your power center, associated with your personal power, will, and self-esteem. Here, you want to breathe in your deep I am presence and let go of any perceived powerlessness. So deep breath in, breathing in your own I am presence. And release any perceived powerlessness. Come on up to the heart chakra, which of course connects above and below. It's associated with love, unity, and breath. Here I want you to breathe in a deep love of self and let go of any perceived isolation, perceived or real. Some of us have it real. Deep breath in at that heart chakra, breathing in a deep love of your own self, your soul self. Deep breath in. And let go of any perceived or real isolation. You are never alone. Just let that go. Come on up to your throat chakra, of course associated with your voice and communication, self-expression. Here we're going to breathe in a deep, dynamic creativity and let go of any blockages or stagnation to your self-expression. Deep breath in at your throat chakra, breathing in a deep, dynamic creativity. Deep breath in. letting go of any blockages or stagnation. Come on up to the third eye, right in the center of your forehead. Here, it is associated with your clairvoyance, intuition, and imagination. We want to breathe in a deep, fiery imagination, an active, fiery imagination, and let go of any self-imposed delays. Sometimes we slow ourselves down with our imaginations going into worry instead of the vision of what you want to accomplish. So let's connect at that third eye, breathing in an active, fiery imagination. Release any self-imposed delays. Come on up to the crown chakra. It's associated with your wisdom, understanding, and consciousness. And we're going to breathe in a deep-rooted freedom. Deep-rooted freedom. And let go and release any disconnect from source and your higher self. Focus on your crown. Take a deep cleansing breath in. Breathing in a deep-rooted sense of freedom. And release any disconnect from source. We do have a lot to cover and some really fun divinations and meditation to get through. That's going to be pretty juicy. Now, we're going to start off, actually, discussing the basics and laying the foundation, which is that the North Node cycle is our life path and direction. It is technically 19 years and a couple of months, so we round off and say a 20-year cycle that moves in 5-year increments. So it's really good to track your own progress around 19 and 38. And every 19 years, we go through this process of evolution around our path and direction. And you can track that with almost anything. We have our birth chart that has a regular 20-year cycle that we go through. And I do it with KarmicTools.com, my website. When it was born, it has its own little life path and direction. My marriage date, my son's birth date, there's different things that activated new paths and new directions and other ways that we can turn to that cycle for. So it's powerful to just get aware and cognizant of co-creating at the pivot points, which is every 5 years. So if you can start to feel into knowing that the path and direction has those kind of pivot points that we have to go through, then it's not as upsetting or disruptive or traumatizing as it can be for some folks who wonder why the path has to change. I can tell you that's part of the rhythm. So another foundational piece that we would put on the table here is that in any cycle, there's kind of 4 quarters like a football game. There's the initiation and the midpoint, the starting point and the halfway point that are related. In any cycle, I always look at those two pieces together. In astrology, it would be the conjunction and the opposition. So the initiation is amplified power. It's all new energy. Lots of times there's unknowns that we can't possibly know at those beginnings at the onset. So here we are at the beginning of the onset of an Aries North Node cycle and completing the one that just finished from 2004 to 06 is our full-blown cycle. So just feel into those pivot points from 04 to 24. Every 5 years, a little pivot. So the starting point and the midpoint are related because a lot of times we start out with the unknowns, we get to the halfway mark. Now we're 180 degrees from our starting point, directly across from our starting point, looking back, and we can see things we couldn't see kind of coming around the bend of the circle. So we know a lot more at that midpoint, and just like a football game, at halftime you go in and try to discuss how we're going to pull out the win. In a cycle, we go in at the halfway point and decide if everything's going the way we want it to go at the midpoint in any cycle with any planet, but we're going to just go deep into North Node tonight. At the midpoint, we look at what's working, and if it's working, we deepen our dedication because we really want to close the cycle strong over the second half. And if it's not going the way you want it to, and things are upside down or sideways or backwards, then that's when you have the only opportunity in the cycle to start fresh in a new direction. So it's your, kind of last chance to do it another way if you feel like you need to. So that starting point and midpoints are really important to know. That would be the 10 and 20-year mark that we're talking about tonight in a lot of ways. Then we have first test and the final test, the squares, the 90-degree angles. In traditional astrology, they'll get you tripping off of squares being hard and treacherous and tragic and, forcing you to do this, that, and the other. I don't really look at it that way, and I definitely don't teach it that way. So I see 90-degree angles as a stabilizer, as something that's building like a staircase that allows you to rise up out of your situation, whatever it may be. The other visual I give for squares is that we're driving along. Let's say we start a new cycle. We go about 5 years in, and we hit a wall, and we have to go left or right. We kind of hit a dead end where we can't go this direction anymore, and we have to make a choice or a decision and go one way or another, but we can't go the same way we've been going. That's those pivot points. And yeah, they're hard. They're not always that easy, but they're so good for you because they get you out of a comfort zone and into new territory. They get you out of, there's no better way to say it but comfort zone. It's like we get comfortable. We get in a rhythm. We're habitual creatures. It's what happens. So sometimes that initial resistance to change is just part of being here. But there are other people who really resist change and want things to stay the same, and that's just not nature. That's not natural. We live on a moving, breathing, changing, ever-evolving, alive planet, and we are made in the image of our Creator. So we are alive, multidimensional beings, and so we want to learn how to work with that. So when we have squares or challenges to grow, we want to ask questions. What happens is at the first test, we get stopped in our tracks and we learn something that we did not know, that we need to know in order to go the next 5 years. So it's important to pay attention to that. Then the final test is usually a test on what we do know. So often when we get 3/4 of the way through a cycle, if you are having challenges, a lot of times it's mistakes that you're repeating and that you know better. Now, I always say if you catch it within a year, within that time frame where the cycle's really popping and the activation is happening, then you're good. You caught it. You were conscious. You recognize that you were at the final test and you just repeated a mistake and you don't want to live that way and you don't want to do it that way. So you change in an instant. We can change our consciousness in an instant. 3D takes a little longer, but in that moment, we can shift, do it another way, and catch ourselves. And in that regard, then you're probably golden. But if you don't catch yourself and 2, 3, 4 years go by, then very likely you got to ride that cycle out and be ready for a new beginning at the next go-round. Now, that's another thing to put on the table is that all cycles repeat, but what changes is the sky pattern. You change, the people around you change, your circumstances change. So every time a same cycle repeats, we get to respond in new and different ways. We have a different alchemical, energetic mix to play with and to work with and to create with. So like right now, Jupiter in Aries and Taurus, crossing over soon, is a zone that is only there every 12 years. That's a special alchemical mix to have Jupiter in Aries at the same time the North Node goes into Aries. That's deep. And so there's things like that won't be there in 10 and 20 years. It'll be a whole different alchemical mix. And think about 2004 to 06. It was a completely different mix back then. We were completely different people with completely different values and priorities doing completely different things. And so there's that other thing about truth that I try to remind people that truth is fluid. What was true in 04 to 06 may not be true today. And then there's certain eternal truths that were true then, true now, they're going to be true in 20 years from now. So just being clear about how truth flows in your own system. Eclipses, on the other hand, they are associated. These nodes shift every 18 months, and the signs that the eclipses fall in shift every 18 months. So 18 months is a big cycle, y'all. That's a Venus cycle. That's a lunar cycle. There's a lot working with that 9 and 18 and these numbers and everything else that we think about when we're, getting our information downloads from the universe. So eclipses happen every year, and what we call them is energy for change. They bring energy for change. We want to channel that energy for change as consciously as we can so that we're not surprised by how things go another direction. So let's be mindful that we have an opportunity twice a year, every year, to shift gears in a big way. Break those neural pathways, instigate new changes that are tied to way bigger cycles and rhythms that we need to tune in. For the last 18 months, it's been Taurus-Scorpio axis. So it's been very body and soul. It's been very literal with our food, sex, money, resources of all kinds are all tied up in the Taurus-Scorpio dynamic. Now that's shifting to Aries-Libra. And so the dynamics around change, think how many things changed around our food and fundamentals and our basic essentials and our personal comfort and personal security, or I would say personal security and creature comfort. What's happening there? How did that evolve over the last 18 months? In big ways, okay? Very big ways. So we want to be mindful that what we've already been through has kind of set the stage, because there's another Kellyism. Everything here in cycles especially is a response to the last one and preparation for the next one. So right now, the Aries-Libra is going to be in response to those new values and priorities that we've set in motion over the last year and a half. Now we want to express and embody and exchange with others and have the actual experience. It's almost like we've been developing behind closed doors during all this COVID madness and everything else, and the reset of our fundamentals, that now we're going to inch by inch, toe by toe, start stepping out there a little more. But like we've been saying in many other circles, we've got to be mindful of our energetic boundaries as we do that. Mindful of what is good for your individual system as we move back into social collective realms where we can mix with folks again on a higher level, hopefully. But Aries-Libra essentially is self versus other, you the individual within the context of your relationships, partnerships, and collaborations. So we're going to go deeper into some of that in a minute. But just knowing that, I always call eclipses a break to realign. So it's like in the medical field where if you breaking an arm to reset it so that it'll heal properly. That's what we do when we have an eclipse. There's an interruption in light. We are light beings. We are water beings. We are affected by these currents that flow through this planet, and it's all very natural and organic and part of our systems that it's wired for. We don't have to try. This is what we're wired for. And I'm big on cycles and patterns. Most of you know. I might have a few new people dropping in tonight. But cycles and patterns are my jam, and that's what I get into because I'm one of those people that doesn't like repeating mistakes. So I'm a tracker, and I pay attention, and I go back and look, and I ask questions, and Spirit guides me really clearly to certain answers or time frames or, remember when this happened, it was this energy. So that's another thing. We want to look at these things as all energy. Nothing is good nor bad, but thinking makes it so. We label and judge and box things in. We don't want to do that. This is energy that we want to direct on our own behalf in a conscious way. So what do you want to change? What do you need to change? What is it time to change, right? What kind of choices and decisions have you postponed or put on the back burner that you need to bring to the front burner because it's time and that you can't postpone it any longer? Now, these cycles that we're thinking about, like I said, with Aries leading the way, this last cycle we had started in 04 to 06 and brought us to now. The one before that was 1986 to 87. So look at it how, again, you want to think kind of every 20 years, the 80s, the 2000s, now we're in the 2020s, and next it'll be in 2040s sometime. So how was life going at those big Aries time pivots? What did you awaken to around your own nature and your own freedom and independence needs and what that looks like, How did it go for you as an individual? What were you embarking on? What were you starting in those years? And then think of its counterpart, 9-10 years in 2013 to 16, we had the Libra North Node. Before that, it was 1995 to 97. Before that was 1976 to 78. So feel into those Libra years. What happened in 13 to 16, 95 to 97, or 76 to 78 if you're old enough to remember back that far, in your relationships, partnerships, or collaborations? Were there big changes and shifts? Were there sudden changes and shifts? That's what happens, too, with eclipses. It kind of shakes things up in an unexpected way. A lot of astrologers call it a wild card or unpredictable and those kind of things. But I have found that the themes are pretty consistent. And like I said, I've been tracking for years. So I like to look at this cycle in particular, besides the fact that it is my North Node and I'm definitely starting a new life path, is that it alternates between being all about me and all about other people and giving and receiving, being active and receptive. How do we do that dynamic? And how do we negotiate? In this case, because Aries is leading the way, we need to be negotiating our own needs and our own desires and what's going on with us as an individual. Now, I want to touch base on a few of these things that are going to be coming up over the next 18 months that we're all going to have customized for ourselves, but no one is exempt, okay? In the Aries department, we are initiating new energy, new life path and direction, new purpose and identity. And when we do that, it automatically says across the way in Libra, we have to do some integration with our relationships and partnerships, because as you change, everyone around you has to change or go away. There's a recalibration that happens every time you have a rebirth. Do we talk about it all the time? No. Should we? Probably. I try to let my husband know as these births happen, because otherwise they stack up 2 or 3 rebirths and he don't know me no more. And then we got to talk all over again. So it's good to introduce your primary people to these rebirths that you have along the way, where you can honestly say, that used to be me. I used to think those things. I used to feel that way. I used to have those desires. I used to want that, but I don't want that anymore. I want this over here now, and it's okay. No judgment. So your independence and courage, conviction, and willingness to begin, to take the first step. This is the other thing about the next 18 months. It's very experimental, pioneering. We're going to try some things and see what works. We're not going to be attached. Like I said earlier, your independence within the context of relationships and community, how does that work for you? Do you feel good and comfortable? I always want you to be comfortable in my circles, that you can raise your hand and have your needs addressed, whatever they may be in the context of community, right? Facing fears and being courageous in the wake of change. This is a big deal for us right now, because there are so many unknowns. We can't know, how it's really going to come together, but we can have a vision. We have a place to start. We've got those first 3 steps that we can come up with. Risk-taking and initiating new beginnings. That's the other beauty of Aries energy. Clean slate, y'all. No looking back. Brand new spark of possibility. Cleanest slate in the zodiac. This is where we can really say, close the door on the whole 20 years since 04 to 06. Let that go. That's done. And let's move forward. This rebirth, clean slate, new beginning is important. Like a new baby, we have to tend to it and protect it. Extra care, so that it takes root properly, so that it gets strong and healthy, and then can stand on its own, right? So this is your creative babies are getting awakened as well, because that's part of your purpose and path that's being activated right now. What you truly desire, what you truly want. Time is precious, y'all. Really don't waste your time on things that are not feeding and nourishing your root in some delicious, organic, beautiful, fulfilling, joyful way, period. How you direct your energy. It's a new day, y'all. It's time to direct it in a new way. How you balance yourself versus other energies. How do you do that? How do you recalibrate? That's what happens with Aries-Libra. We're too independent and on our own, and we resist relationships on the Aries side, and then we get lonely. It's like, oh, kind of nice to be able to hang out with somebody. Let me go over here. You get with someone, and you get in a community, or you get wherever you want to go with other folks in a social way like Libra represents. And then it's like, ooh, I need to be alone. I need to do my thing. So there might be a swing like that over the next year and a half, where you just be mindful of your natural needs, right? Where there is time for solitude and working on projects that have meaning for you, and time to socialize and have fun or be out with other people. How does that work for you? What is your natural balance like? How would you like to improve that over the next year and a half in a conscious way? The other thing to think about is whatever we do over this year or two is anchoring the 20. So that's why we want to be super conscious about how we do it. The area of life is your Aries house, the area of life being affected. So this is where you want to focus on you, your choices and behavior, how you take action, when and why, where, and with whom. Think of Mars ruling Aries, the action, desire, passion, primal kind of energy, what I want. This is the me zone, right? Channeling anger into productive tasks or rededicating energy consciously. So we want to channel our rage into outrage. Rage is paralyzing and makes you sick and can be toxic and take a bunch of people down with you. Outrage is mobilizing. You're so pissed you want to do something about it. You're so fed up with whatever way your identity's been going, you're ready to be someone else. It's deep how it shows up. So just be mindful of that same anger, sexual, passionate, these energies look alike. So you got to feel into what they are for you and define your own terms. But how do you channel it? What happens when you're angry? What happens when your passion is aroused? How does that work for you? And where's the creativity that in there that you can tap into to create this new level of existence that you're calling in? Basically, this is the way I look at it. We have been developing our values and reorganizing our priorities so that we can be someone new and do something new and exist in a new way. And that's what we're calling in. Assess your current energy and how it could be more focused, okay? Don't be scattered and all over the place. Take a risk and initiate something new. And we're talking about in your Aries house, okay? So knowing where your Aries is going to be important. And that is part of your post-call goodies, that those of you who have submitted birth information or those of you who are already in my system, I've got you. You will get the post-call note that says personal activations telling you exactly where Aries, Libra, and Cancer, Capricorn are because they're all related. And when one gets triggered, I guess I only did Aries, Libra. When Aries, Libra gets activated for this initiation integration piece, that means our Cancer, Capricorn departments have to grow out of comfort zone into new territory. Said another way, if we are creating or activating, initiating this new identity and purpose, then our relationships and partnerships have to integrate in a new way and balance out, recalibrate that, and then our home and work changes. Somehow dynamics change because you're a new person in new relationships, so you have new rhythms at home and work. So just know that that's all connected. In this same department, wherever your Aries house is, like I said, taking a risk, initiating something new, but you're redefining your authentic self and your identity at this time. And again, think in 5, 10, 15, 20 years pieces. Don't try to do the whole 20 that usually blows our circuits if we think too big. Think about this 2 to 5, to anchor this new path. Rebirth and relearn how to walk and talk at this evolved level. There is something to that. Catching yourself so that you don't backslide into old ways of walking and talking, okay? Activating your clean slate, fresh start. Where are you at that you could really use that in that department? So I can use myself as an example. Aries rules my 5th house of fun, creativity, sex, storytelling, games, theater, all the good stuff, all the juicy, fun stuff is in the 5th house. And that's where my life path, my Chiron healing path, my Saturn reality, which is conjunct Vesta, which is sacred, my sacred reality, all getting an upgrade, all getting some renewal. This is powerful. So anything you have in Aries is subject to a new path and direction because of this new beginning that we're initiating here. So cultivate that new identity, create a new self-image that you can stand on, that you can walk with your head held high, knowing this is me, this is who I am. And I do love, this is my definite Aries Kellyism, is those who mind don't matter, and those who matter don't mind. When you're being yourself, your true authentic nature, shining your light, it should not rub anybody the wrong way. And when it does, those little irritations are something going on within them. So you can just detach and let that go. Aries questions to contemplate would be, what do you deeply desire? Not just passing, oh, that'd be nice. What do you really want? Okay? Go deeper. What noble cause do you support? So here's the other blessing of rebirthing a new identity. I highly recommend that as you develop this new story that you're about to tell, that you tie it to a larger story. I am all about sovereignty and independence, and I'm over here trying to grow my food and use all natural products and household items in my, basic kitchen items in my zone here that are allowing me to be independent from a crazy system I disagree with. So whatever it takes to connect to the larger cause. So I'm always wanting people to manage their energy, right? If you can manage your energy and direct it on your own behalf, you can create anything you need to create, no matter what the world is doing. What are you willing to do to protect this new life that you're birthing? Think of it like that newborn baby. You would protect it by any means necessary. Do that for yourself. I've also said that for years, since 2015 when my son left the house. I want to love myself and be there for myself as consistently, as wholeheartedly, as joyfully as I did for my son. That's real talk, y'all, because I was all the way in for that. There for every second. And so there's ways that we need to do that for ourselves. Charity begins at home. Self-preservation is not selfish. It is essential. It is the first law of nature. We have to figure out how to get comfortable with that. And this is an Aries thing, too, that I always bring up because I got 5 planets in Aries. So it's a big thing for Kelly. But I like to negotiate up front, y'all. I just really do. And when we do that, when we negotiate our needs and our desires, knowing the difference between the two, and negotiate that up front, things are so much better. Like the outcome is that much better. When we do the imbalance, shadow, okay, here's another Kelly thing I haven't really seen in a book, but I believe an imbalanced Aries will exhibit negative Libra qualities. So what happens is an Aries is overgiving. That's toxic to an Aries system. An Aries system is always self first, naturally. It's a gift. I remind folks about their self-sovereignty, their self-preservation. I'm like, hold up, that don't make no sense. You're violating yourself. Let's not do that. Let's not do that. And then we look at from the Aries side to the Libra side. Okay, yeah, thank you, baby. From that side of self-preservation, if we go to the Libra side, which is natural at giving, the trouble with the Libra side is they end up giving till they wake up pissed because it's not being reciprocated. So we all do this in some way. Usually it shows up in our Aries Libra houses. But, we do that because we didn't negotiate up front. And I always tell my Libra babies, especially, because they're so wired naturally that way, that they think they're leading by example. They think they're teaching people how to treat them. They're treating people how they want to be treated. But they're not articulating their needs. They're not demanding their needs be met in a certain way. They're not making sure that fairness and balance that is essential for Libra is happening. So it ends up going south in that way. So when we negotiate up front our personal needs, our relationship goes better, I promise you. Now, for those folks who resist, and I've had men, women, and children resist, but mostly men, sorry, gotta say. When you put this to them, you got to pick your time and place and approach. But by the same token, you can't shove your personal needs down to accommodate anyone else. And that's what we're resetting. What are your needs? What are your desires? How can you negotiate that a little better up front without feeling any shame, blame, or guilt, which is societal, cultural, family, whatever nonsense that they impose on you. If you're a sovereign, centered, thinking, feeling individual, you can do this better. What unknown aspect of life or circumstance scares you, okay? When we address our fears, when we shine a light on it, it takes all the juice out. It has no more power to hurt you. But if you hide it and it's creeping around in the dark, making noises and poking you from places you can't see, that's upsetting. That's upsetting. But shine a light, look it straight in the face and go, why am I afraid of this? And that's a big Aries one, too. This was a mantra from my teenage years when I was trying to curb my Virgo judgment. As a teenager, you don't know nothing, but you think you know everything. So I was judging everything, but I didn't like being judged. So when I felt that vibe, I was like, oh, how do we fix this? It's always you. It's always you. I was so judgmental. I was attracting judgmental people. Bam. As soon as I shined a light on that, no more of that drama. Done. Okay? So just take control in that way. Take your power back. Address yourself. And allow that to be your power, that you can self-correct. How or when are you more or less assertive on your own behalf? How does that come up for you? Okay, so I have just learned to get comfortable with being considered a bitch. That's just how they go. Because I am assertive when it comes to self-preservation in certain circumstances like the bank, the hospital, these places that claim authority that I do not recognize, okay? My body, my rules. My money, my rules. These institutions, again, that I don't really agree with, I got to be firm or they will run ripshod over me. So I can't have that. So I am more assertive in those instances, but maybe I'm a little less assertive in my personal life where I don't want to just knock folks out. Of course, there's days I do, but I curb that urge, that Aries urge. Some of you might know my little Kellyism is like stupid people are like glow sticks. I want to snap them in half and shake them till the light comes on. So, yeah, my Aries impatience will catch me sometimes. So pay attention to that. Get your patience panties out. They might be in the dryer. They might be behind the dryer. It might be a little harder for some of us to get to them. But get them out, honey, because this Aries is going to test that. How is this a fresh new beginning for you? Okay? I am so fresh new beginning, clean slate, I can't even tell you. I have gone from low to high in the wink of an eye just by certain choices and shifts in the values and priorities through the Taurus-Scorpio eclipses, right? That break to realign shifted everything. And now I can express in all new ways, and I can have new relationships I couldn't have 5, 10, 15 years ago. So God is good. This is a real new beginning. And for me, remember we said, look at your house. The 5th house would be creativity. So I'm finally able to manifest some of these creative babies that have just been bubbling in the cauldron, getting juicy and flavorful and delicious, but they got to come out and feed some folks. That's real. So also, how, when, where can you be more experimental in life, okay? What new things do you want to try? Let's improvise more often. Improvise more often. Work with what you got. Look around. Here's another manifesting thing. I have talked about this periodically, too. This comes up when we're talking about Taurus, usually. There's energy within us. There's a part of us in the cultural conditioning that looks around, sees what's available, and makes a choice. I have been bucking this system since I got here. I don't even know how to do that. I go within, feel into what I need, desire, or deserve, and then I look around and say, who, what, when, where, how, what can help me manifest this or make this happen for myself? Then I'm using those resources around me in a completely different way. It's so powerful to do it that way. Now, there are some little things before we get to the divinations that I found with some old Kelly notes, but these are so juicy. I had to share a few of them because these are really good reminders also for the next year or two to just be mindful of what you're initiating, how you're initiating, and who's around you when you do it, okay? Because, again, energy, think energy going into the root of either your new identity and purpose or your new path and direction or the new people you're going to interact with, however that's going to go. Whoever's around at the beginning, at the initiation, is part of that alchemical mix, okay? So let's be mindful. Your desire nature is part of your blueprint of possibility. I love that. So think about, Spirit doesn't give us a desire without the means for fulfilling it. So feel into that. Being childlike, being trusting, having fun, being open and innocent, okay? This is the active, happy-go-lucky child within you that trusts her own instincts and knows herself in a certain way. Being courageous and determined is all part of this. Flip a switch, try something new, like we said earlier. Really improvise and just see how it feels. Even if it's a little uncomfortable, I bet you get positive results. Still look for that outcome and push past your edge of discomfort with the new or the unknown, right? Seek creative solutions, right? Rise above whatever's going on around you and ask Spirit to show you the most creative way to deal with whatever challenge is in front of you. Here's the big one for Aries and why God is just so good. I must have really been co-creating with my Virgo and Aries because routine helps direct the energy. So Virgo in me is all about the routine and rhythm and directing that Aries energy. I got energy to burn. And at the same time, I'm getting older and I realize I should maybe do that another way, not be so extreme. But routine helps direct the energy. So anything that you're feeling passionate about and getting awakened to or awakening around it, make sure that you give the flow a structure, basically. Give it a little container so that you got someplace to hold it all. Do you. Be you. No airs. What's important to you? This is the thing. What you care about, there's going to be other people that care about. Conversations you want to have, other people are going to want to have these conversations. So stay in your lane and allow your natural, authentic self to magnetize those who resonate with your frequency, right? Okay, here's the big one for Aries, because Aries energy is also the place in our chart where we like to start things but not finish them. So, of course, what I tell you about all my creative babies, I got a dozen of them. If I would just finish them, bring them into form, and birth them suckers, I wouldn't feel like this. So commit to completion, commit to taking action, commit to that first step. At the moment of commitment, the universe conspires to assist you. Try a new approach and be spontaneous. Again, allow that. Allow some room for that. Because I'm telling you, I've had the most miracles when I let go of my preconceived notions of what I thought should be happening or how I thought it should be happening. All of that. Let go of all that. Don't overthink. Connect to your instincts, right? Aries is your first mind, your gut instincts. You know, that first flash, that's usually true for you. Being independent by any means necessary, which also means being responsible, okay? So I talk about this, too. In the old days, I used to talk about Aries energy and how, especially for me, because it was so strong, I kind of knew early in my teens I wasn't built to work for anyone else. I needed to be my own boss. But like Aries energy is, it's hard to be your own boss when you start things and don't finish them. It's hard to be your own boss when every little thing seems interesting and you want to do it all. And so you're always moving to the next thing. Now, I did usually see things through because that's kind of my nature, but I was very competitive. I was an athlete. I was a gymnast, and I did competition, got my gold medals. I was on soccer teams that were champions, got my trophies. I roller skated, got my championship trophies. And so my grandmother used to give me that guilt trip. Well, you never stay with anything. You're always bouncing around. I said, Nana, I got the first place. What else is there? I mastered it. I did it. I had the experience. I'm ready to try something new. But she tried to shame me and make me feel bad about that when that's not really a bad thing. Not if you're seeing it through to the end you wanted to see it through to. You know, I saw it through to first place. That's what I think is the best thing. And then once I did that, what else could I experience? So don't let others talk you out of your own natural way of being. Shadow Aries is tit-for-tat mentality, you know, blaming others for your issues. Let's watch that. Facing fears, resolving to change. Let's not live in survival mode, okay? Let's get through that nonsense. That's shadow as well. Make a list of things to do before you die. I love that. This is really old, y'all. This is from 2008. Get out of your comfort zone. Push for the impossible, right? Dream bigger. Anything you're trying to do, think bigger. That's what I meant earlier when I said connect your small story to the larger story. Because anything you're doing, somebody needs it. It's out there. There's a place for it. But we got to move past survival mode and get into some of these experiences that you really came to have in this body. Focus on what you want and what can go right versus what can go wrong, okay? So worry is a poor use of your imagination. If you're going to imagine anything, imagine the best case scenario, really, and again, expand it. Think even bigger than that. We need more doing and being and less talking and thinking, okay? More doing and being, less talking and thinking. Aries don't talk about it. They be about it. They just want to do it. Let's go. Let's go. We'll talk about it after we do it. That's when it's fun to talk about for Aries energy. Initiate, ground, and fortify right now. Okay? We are in the zone of the eclipse as we speak. We're getting together on 4/20. It just happened last night. With 3 days before, 3 days after any full moon or new moon is a zone of power. So do you and then share. So again, take care of yourself and then go play with others. You know, that's how that works. All right, deep breath. And yes, everyone, that's what we have to do is look for those positive examples that we can mimic or play off of or learn from or find a little piece of that we can express our own way. Because nothing that we're imagining that we want, anything that we need, desire, deserve, it's already here. You want money? Money's here. You want land? Land is here. All we have to do is open up those channels to it. Get those magnetics right so that it's organic and it happens naturally. And when it happens that way, it's yours. It's yours by divine right. So there's no denial or delays. You know, I love that. And that's where we have to get in alignment with our desire nature. What do you really want? What does the soul want? You know, because that's another thing that happens in survival mode is the soul gets kicked to the curb, and that's not how we succeed. Truly, truly, truly. So deep breath. So my divinations were interesting because I went through a couple of decks before the one that really answered my questions. And I do have them all ready to go in a PDF, so the post-call goodies will have these all typed up for you already, which is beautiful. Here's where I went with the focus on divinations. So I pulled 4 cards from the Ancestor Spirit Oracle deck. That's the deck that has a different culture. With every single card is a different culture. So these are ancestors from different backgrounds giving us advice. For what I pulled 1 card for new identity and purpose, and I got answer the call. Explore, travel, live. This is our one and precious life, Let's do this. We pulled a card for new way of interacting with others, and I just had to laugh because this deck actually says interact and relate. The keywords are community, family, and tradition. What to change at home and what to change at work. What to change at home or privately was balance yourself, direction, growth, and life stages. And what needs to change at work or in your public life is psychic strength, shield, talismans, and gold light. We're going to go deeper into all 4 of those. But this is powerful, and this is guidance. Like, again, think of it as 18 months to ground 18 years, or, whatever you want to look at, the first 5 years that anchor the 20-year cycle. However you want to look at that, we are in an initiation stage. So we're okay with the unknown, but we also want to vision and call in what we truly desire and what is good for our individual selves, right? Most of us are women on this call. I know there's a few brave men that love to sit in the circle, but we're always giving and pouring out because that's our nature, right? So answer the call. Explore, travel, and live. This is the Viking Scandinavian culture. Now, the first thing I thought of with this was the renowned fierce warriors, yes, but the fact that they were like adventurers. This is very Aries energy. Let's just go see. Let's see what happens. Let's check. Let's not talk about it. Let's go there and see what they got. So Vikings are renowned as fierce warriors who demonstrated superhuman strength and commanded sailing ships and weapons to defeat their enemies on sea and land. A fatalistic outlook and a belief in the afterlife allowed Vikings to face death courageously, both in battle and on their long, dangerous sea voyages. Okay, time out. Let's look at this as anything that the dying, the completion of that cycle from 04 to 06 to now is that old identity. And we can put that to rest and mourn that in a good way. They believed in gods and goddesses as well as mythological creatures, such as water spirits, dwarves, giants, and elves. Vikings respected their deities and considered them more powerful than humans, but also saw them as human-like in that they ate, fought, drank, and played tricks on people. Many Viking warriors couldn't wait to fight by the side of their gods in the afterlife. These risk-takers braved dangerous waters and traveled far from their homelands in Scandinavia, relying on their knowledge of the stars, the moon, the ocean, and its wildlife to guide them. Their keen physical and intuitive senses also helped steer their journeys. So check it. This is what we need to be independent, free, and sovereign, is to travel by the stars, the moon, the ocean, and the wildlife, and staying in tune with our physical and intuitive senses, okay? That's what helps Aries make the right move, make the right choice, take the right first step. The ancestors speak. It is time for you to wake up and live again. You're here on this earth for a reason. Don't waste your time. Embrace life and explore the world with every ounce of your soul. Take risks. Think outside the box. Journey into unknown places. Follow your instincts and live your life to the fullest. Deep breath. Divinatory meaning. The universe chose you to be here for a specific reason. It is up to you to discover that reason and go after it. Answer your call. If you are tired and fed up with life, focus on the courageous energy of the Vikings. Call upon your spirit guides to give you the positive energy to enjoy your life. You may also like to challenge yourself with some activities or experiences that make you feel alive and give you a boost of adrenaline. Take risks and enjoy. Deep breath. So that's for our Aries new identity and purpose, this new path and direction. It's basically like, let's live it, let's do it, let's enjoy it, let's be present for it too. Then for our new relationships, we want to interact and relate, tap into community, family, and traditions. This is the Morai culture. They are Maori. Maori? Maybe I'm saying that wrong. New Zealand. That's what it is.
Yeah, New Zealand.
Thank you. Welcoming and looking after guests in a positive, generous, and hospitable way is part of traditional Maori culture. They understand that when everyone works together and respects each other, the whole community is much better off, Ashe. This is at the heart of their community. This is a meeting place they call the marae, I think. the meeting place where celebrations, formal occasions, funerals, and teaching occur. A symbol of group unity, the marae is a place where people come together to share and honor tradition. Older tribal members hold authority there. They teach the younger generations their language, stories, spirituality, arts, music, genealogy, and beliefs. Often, a hangai, where food is cooked in the ground, provides meals for large groups during festivals, celebrations, and funerals. The ceremonial sharing of meals helps bring family and community together. So how can we do that more? Again, where we're integrating with people at a higher level of authenticity and integrity from within, so we're finding these ways to get in community on the ground and have this protection and support and wisdom where two or more gather, like I said earlier. The ancestors speak. Community and family are highlighted for you. This card suggests that you have been isolating yourself or too busy to be present and engaged with friends or family. Be mindful of how important it is to interact with others. You don't need people around you constantly, but it is healthy to have regular social outings and to feel connected with other people. Prepare and enjoy a meal with people that you care about. Deep breath. And that's real, y'all, because I really have been a little hermit for years now, working from home, tending to my family, and I, too, like Nasa said earlier, I'm ready to get out and play with others and be in person with people again. And you miss that. The divinatory meaning says your spirit shines brightest when you share your energy with others. You are not meant to travel through life alone. Spirit has sent people and animals for you to interact and share your life with. Reconnect with someone you haven't seen for a while or haven't spent enough time with lately. Now, this guidance is for the change at home or in private about balance yourself, direction, growth, and life stages. So this was a place where I was going to talk about the life stages and how in your 20s and 40s, it's a Uranus decade, so there's this freedom activations that happen. And you're loose and you're free and you're learning so much in your 20s that when you're 40s, you've got a little more sense. Well, it comes back in your 60s and back in your 80s. There's this sense of freedom and liberation that comes in those years. But 30 and 50 is like the odd numbers. The 50, 70, these are all different life stages that push us to grow. So at home, the Cree, or the First Nation peoples of Canada, this is the Native Americans, also known as Cree, the medicine wheel represents the foundations of life for these people. So think about the 4 directions, the 4 elements, and the foundation stones of your life, whatever they may be for you. Each year, each lesson, each life is in constant motion through the 4 phases depicted by the medicine wheel. Its philosophy extends to the physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual, and can help one understand their place in the universe, as well as how they are linked to all living things. The 4 aspects of the medicine wheel are interwoven, and its underlying message is one of wholeness, balance, natural cycles, and relationship. The Cree consult the medicine wheel for guidance, healing, purpose, and insight. Each of the quadrants relates to a direction, a season, a color, and a life stage. Okay, deep breath. East is the spring, red, the sun rising, new beginnings in life, childhood, feelings and emotions. South is summer, yellow, the sun at its highest point in the sky, adolescence, being active, and relationships. The west is autumn, the color is black, the setting sun, adulthood, and its responsibilities, introspection, and reflection. North is winter, white, the dark of night, midnight, maturity, the thinkers and teachers in the community, decision-making, and deeper understanding. So we have everything covered. It's so deep. It's like the astrology with the 12 houses. Every aspect of life, every area of life is covered in there. The ancestors speak. Each part of your life contributes to the whole of who you are. The strength you draw from one area of your life can help you manage another. However, it is now time to reflect and address an imbalance. Weigh up how much time and energy you devote to your health, finances, career, relationships, personal interests, and all other aspects of your life. Once you have identified the areas that need your focus, make a plan to restore balance. Nurture your whole self. mind, body, emotions, and spirit. Deep breath. Divinatory meaning says, look at the worlds around you. Pay attention to the energy of Mother Earth, the seasons, the sun, and the moon. Consider how the patterns of nature affect you physically, emotionally, mentally, and spiritually, and how they relate to the cycles. I love this. The medicine wheel supports your transition from one phase to the next. Bring your focus inward to grow, transform, release, and embrace a new stage or a new aspect of yourself. Ashe. So privately, we're restoring balance, we're strengthening, we're getting organized, we're letting go of the non-essential, and we're creating space in our lives for better people, better experiences, better lives across the board. Then publicly, what we need to change or work on in some kind of way or capacity is psychic strength, your shields when you go out in public, the talismans you carry in your purse or pocket, the golden light that you can be bathed in when you come and go to clear your energy field. Here we have the Berber North African culture, which I think is in my DNA, y'all. I found my people. The early Berber people lived in northwestern Africa from around 10,000 BCE and perhaps even longer. They lived in large nomadic tribes and over many centuries migrated, expanded, and came into contact with many other cultures. Berbers were well-known traders who transported goods by camel caravan from the Sahara Desert to Morocco and beyond. Today they live mainly in North Africa. The Berbers of Morocco believe in the spirits called jinns that can act like humans and take on different forms, such as that of an animal. People might call on an evil jinn to harm an enemy. The shape of a hand, often with an eye in the center of the palm, the hamsa, is incorporated into jewelry and wall hangings for protection against jinns or any other forms of black magic. The ancestors speak. When you are feeling drained or vulnerable, you can shield yourself psychically and emotionally. This card encourages you to look after yourself by setting firm boundaries. Remain unattached to comments or attitudes that are unhelpful. Put out a hand for help where possible and surround yourself with positive energy. Staying focused on your goals and your love will bring strength, Ashe. Divinatory meaning. There are many ways to strengthen your spiritual energy. Find a way that works for you. You may like to use a hamsa or make a talisman. For a quick and easy way to shield yourself, ground your energy, take a few deep breaths, and imagine that a golden bubble of healing light surrounds you. Once you can see yourself inside the gold bubble, ask the universe to protect you. Shield yourself with love and positivity and extend that protection to your loved ones as well. Deep breath. So in public, we just need really good boundaries. Energetic boundaries are critical. Okay? Of course, our physical boundaries, but energetic is really important too, y'all. So, deep breath. Our meditation, it's not going to be that long, y'all, but it's going to be deep, comes from a channeled work by Flo Magdalena, who has soulsupportsystems.org. She channeled a book called Sunlight on Water, and I love this book. I hold and open this book a lot. So when I held and opened today asking for the meditation, one of the chapters in the book is called Relationship with Self, Union with Others. I really like that chapter title. Huge. We want a relationship with ourselves so that we can introduce ourselves to others in a healthy way. But what came up was so deep because this is the clean slate of Aries. This is what happens when we rebirth ourselves with a new identity, path, or purpose, is that what is not truth falls away naturally, organically. We're going to move through a full presence exercise, how to be fully present, living essentially with integrity and establishing integrity, because that integrity is tied to your individual self, your identity, your I am presence, okay? When you're whole unto yourself, integrity is effortless. So deep breath, open to receive that which is just for you and release the rest. You might want to just set the space or set the tone a little bit. Go to your happy place in nature. Breathe a couple of deep breaths, making that connection above, below, and at the heart, and open to receive. The essential place in you that's shaping right now is the expression of the core essence and its connection to the truth that you carry through this pureness of intent. As you foster that as a way of being, anything in your system that isn't real, that doesn't really reflect truth, falls away, is unimportant, and is dissipated in such a way that you wonder why you ever thought of it to begin with. Because it's such a little thing that you're letting go of, you have no charge on it. You have no energy for the thing that you think you're going to. You know, we always think it's going to be harder than it is to really let this stuff go. It doesn't have any charge, literally. What you've got planned in your life, whoosh, gone. Okay, so plan A usually goes out the window. Life is plan B. Where's your excitement? Where's your life force? Many of you practice many times a week to vitalize your life force through yoga asanas, for example. What are asanas? What are they actually for? They are to vitalize the force of life and spirit in the body. But why? Why would you want to do that? Why do you meditate, affirm, intend, visualize, exercise, discipline yourselves? Because when you vitalize the life force of the body and bring spirit and form together, you are the edge of the blade of the sword, and you cut through all of the illusion and manifest truth. You are here to do that. You are not here to be railroaded or to be crucified or burned at the stake. You're here to create models of birth, of life, of health, of joy, of communion, and that's nothing to be scared about. It's just weaving. Oh, it won't work there? Okay, we're going to weave it over here. It'll work because it's time for it to work. The world needs it. The women need it. The babies need it. The consciousness needs it. So let's do it. Let's find a way. And so you make up your mind from your pureness of intent first. Make up your mind and say, okay, it's going to happen. I carry my energy. I carry my consciousness. I carry my awareness. It's going to happen. Deep breath. So you break down the barriers of perception that people have against life, and that's a challenge. That is really a challenge. They say, well, no, it's okay the way it is. We need to spend more time and energy on X, Y, Z. And you're aware that they're talking about supporting death because it's safer. And you understand the dynamic. You are not fooled. You see. You know what's going on. So you can be prepared. You say, well, that's their philosophy. That's their thought. They support death. It's not dying. It's not killing. They support death, which means slow, laborious, and rigid belief systems, as well as authoritative, controlling processes. So what? Because life is now ready to be lived differently, and you are in support of that. And there are other people who are also in support of that. So you go out and say, this is who I am, and this is what I'm doing. Deep breath. And you just watch. Watch how that pureness of intent calls the life seeker out. And you get excited and more excited. And then you have that pathway. And the people will follow that pathway with you. They will, I promise. Because you are leading them out of the darkness of a boring life, of a life filled with diseases that don't need to be there, fears that don't need to be there, separations that don't need to be there, perceptions that are separating. So you become clearer now that it's all about saying yes. It's your time. There's nothing to worry about anymore. Nothing. It's a done deal, and you're right there. And you're spinning, and when you stop spinning, you stand and say, yes. Then you focus and go. Deep breath. Saying yes is the place inside you that is clearly feeling this flame. Everyone picture a bright flame of fire, the violet flame, red-orange flame, your favorite flame. Get a good visual. If you have a candle, work with it. Go in there every day and feel the flame. And then imagine that you open the gate and the flame starts to move. Feel where it wants to go. Follow it through your third eye. Be with it in such a way that the flame is the truth, and where you end up is what it is that truth is seeking, and where it is that you want to be. You're doing this in a visualization, so you have nothing to lose. Write it out if you wish, and then someday follow it with your feet. See where it takes you. Play with it. Play with it. Where does the flame want to go? Because this flame is going to come out. It's going to express. It's going to be experienced inside you in such a way that the phenomenal capacity that you have to move the earth, which you have used many times, happens here. Why is it not possible for you to create a miracle next week? No earthly reason. Why don't you do it? Fear? Nah, it's not really fear. It's the lack of full presence. That is all it is. So you could say, I'm not all here. That's true. I'm really not all here. So see, it's simple. It's not some kind of deep psychological problem. It's not that you've done something and you have to pay penance and you have to initiate yourself for 3 years or read 50,000 books. It's your presence that is incomplete. All that says is, I guess I'll put it together now. I guess I'll let myself see what's here and let it come out. I will have full presence. Then everything else happens because that's the only thing that's missing. I have the love. I have the intention. I have the clarity. I have the lineage. I have the capability. I have the vision. I have the heart. I have the stamina. I have the discipline. I have the intelligence. I have the education. I have the degree. I have this. I have that. What's stopping me? The glue. It's the glue that puts it together. That's what I need. So I'll weave it with this flame and melt it all to a solid molten core. And then I'll let the flame out. And when I let the flame out, I will be the flame. I will be the movement. I will be the outcome. I will be the energy that carries it all at once. That's who I am. I am everything. I am the past, the present, and the future in the flame all at once. So as this unfolds, the presence of that consciousness becomes absolute. And you say, okay, I was this. I am this now. And I choose to create this going forward. These 3 levels are now valid in my consciousness, so I experience them. Now what I provide for myself is a vehicle. What's the vehicle? Permission. You give yourself permission. Free will. The vehicle is I give myself permission. And when I do, all of the variables come together. It is that simple. Whoosh. It's the vibration of the infinite or original design, the vibration of saying yes and being a vehicle that will move that, the vibration of your future or hologram or the pureness of intent manifesting. Seeing all of those 3 points, past, present, future, are of the same vibration. There is an absolute experience of instantaneous manifestation. So you are going to instantly manifest your presence. Practice. This is what I choose. This is where I am. This is what I want to do. This is where I end up. Where you end up is absolutely alive, like a flame burning so that everybody around feels that flame. You're not hiding your light under a bushel. You're not wanting anybody else to give you permission to do anything. You're going for it as if your life depends on it. These points have vibrational quotients with them. So practice bringing the vibrations to the same point, realizing that they are the same vibration, and that powers your pureness of intent. It fuels it. That powers the flame, which opens the door for you to see where to go. It isn't something that you have to fight with your mental process or with your physical body. It won't work that way. It's about the flame of the essence burning away resistance, burning life into the experience. And the value of that is that you show people everything is possible when it comes from the flame of that pure intent. Deep breath. Habituation is another thing that will be destructured, getting out of unconscious habits and replacing them with conscious practices. So many of you will begin new habits and new ways of experiencing. Your foundation will be ordained from a different rhythm. So this intention for transformation, for carrying the consciousness to a point where it can speak to you directly, is pure magic. It's symmetry. It's lovely. There is no miscommunication. It doesn't even matter if Mercury is retrograde. It is synthesizing constantly this reality of truth that cannot be gainsaid. It's the sense that the foundation is always going to reflect itself and communicate itself accurately as the organizational capacity of the being which is expressed. By organizational, we mean the part that comes from the essential. So there is no miscommunication or misunderstanding. There's an opportunity for honesty, clarity, resonance, harmony, and balance in ways that organize the system so that the foundation literally provides its own resolution and its own affirmation. People can say, "Oh, I didn't really mean that," and you know the energy of their body did mean it. You can get into discussions about it, and they can be adamant, no, I really didn't mean that. And you know that it did mean exactly what you are feeling because you can sense how they are organized inside, how their essence responds in those situations. Deep breath. Whatever's inside comes out under pressure. Each of you designs your capacity so that you feel the integrity. The beauty of having no words is that you hear what the capacity of creation is imbuing into you and from others to you. And so the levels start merging together. The hierarchical level, source level, the angelic level, the celestial level, the firmament, the dimensions, the subtle bodies, all frameworks. They start foundationing over and over again in the same way that you used to hear and discern physical action and movement and words and integrity and energy, because you're really aware of these subtleties, all the windows and passages open for you to experience total communication with all realms. Deep breath. When you are in substance, you receive communication from those levels because that's where those levels are sustained. The oneness becomes an inherently beautiful affirmation of truth. What you're about here is solidifying the fields of your energy so that they are equal and balanced and give you the optimal amount of information constantly, optimal for your system. Deep breath. You feel as if on every level you are being sustained. On every level you are receiving. And on every level, everything that needs to be available is available. Everything that you would wish to have at your fingertips in terms of skills, capacities, or relationships with being are available and present. Call it in, whatever you need. This means that as you hear from the being, you are more and more present as a being, and the normal ways of communicating fall away to the experience of what is natural. What is natural is that you know everything that's going on all the time, and there's no need to deny it, no need to replace it, no need to in some way change it. Dynamically, when you are in an honest place with total inner knowing, the truth of all beings is heard, sustained, and created through. This establishes a natural order in your world. This is how the new world relates. That is a very beautiful experience, a gift that you receive from each other because it's the gift of your purest intent, your deepest integrity, and your most absolute space of knowing. It's a gift you exchange as you receive, and there is accuracy to it, so it's quicker. What you're inherently doing is connecting with the fundamental point of creation as one unit of being, regardless of how many we are. And this is where the absolute integrity of your union can be lived. Deep breath. Right now, you are establishing integrity, and it may take 10 times longer the first time to establish that integrity. So what? Because if you don't establish the integrity, it won't hold together. You are building bridges between the old and the new, which means you want to preserve the things that function well from the old paradigm and use the new paradigm to accelerate the momentum. Deep breath. So the energy, the funding, the capacity are all there before you even begin. You know that, so you are not worried about those things. What you're logically setting down are your points of foundation. They may be people, process, proposals, connections, junctions, linkages, or bridges. Whatever they are, they have to be covered before you will feel comfortable. So anything that you begin, if you feel uncomfortable about it, say, wait a minute, we need another foundation point here. What is it? First, you open up to get your holographic picture, and then you start plotting. Plot it circularly. That's fine. And when you're finished plotting it, say, all right, does that feel complete? And it may not feel complete. The part of you that is going to let you know it's complete or not, believe it or not, is the logical part. You're learning to see it holographically and open out to it so that the whole picture is always present. Then the logic can do the details. But you're always in the creative mode, and that is a marriage. Before one can marry those components, one must honor all the parts of the self. So you see, we keep coming back to the individuation, because if you want to act holographically, all the parts of the self have to be married, and you're learning how to do that now. All of you are learning to marry those parts. You're learning to marry your power to your gentleness, your force and your trajectories with your open expansion, and you're learning to marry your logic with your absolute. It is really a training ground. And what you train to do in this year is going to be your curriculum for next year, because you're going to go ahead of the crowd and be on the edge of the wave, and people will come and participate in the wave. By the end of this year, you're going to have a sense of what it's like to be in community. Make sure that you each take care of your honoring first. If you don't do that, the community is going to feel it. Because if one person does not honor himself or herself in the community, it will become a community issue. So instead of creating all that could be created, there will be a consensus that he or she will have to be dealt with in a way by the whole community. And that's the old paradigm, that the community is there to support you because you don't have what you need in your life. And if you make a community that is based like that, then it's going to take a lot of energy and time to create. Creation and survival are dichotomies, as you know. If you are worried about surviving, then the honoring is taken away from the self, because the self does not believe in its own ability to create. So that's why we are making this distinction from the get-go. We are creating a consciousness with you. The first sentence we stated is what you want to remember. We welcome you to this place. This place is what you have come to create on earth. Ashe. Deep breath. Foundation points, inner integrity, inner knowing of who you are, what you want, and what works for you in terms of accomplishing that or getting those things done. It's so supported for you to define new terms, to claim a new story, to claim a new identity and purpose and path, and use these eclipses to change what needs changing, and use the North Node cycle to track your life path and see if these pivot points end up being really important, because they are. And in this case, Aries, Libra, and Cancer, Capricorn are the pivot points, and where we're all being asked to up-level and grow and get to this next level of expression. So thank you for hanging so late, everyone. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I will get the replay out with the goodies. Give me a couple days to get everyone's activations done. It will take me some time, but I will get them to you over the next couple of days. So thank you, everyone.